I've always loved cinematic visuals, but honestly, cameras at first can be intimidating. My first ever camera was a GoPro. It's an action camera, to be specific. And well, I took it with me, everywhere. Okay, there's a specific piece or kind of piece that you have in being bad in something new. Or better yet, okay, well, have you ever had that feeling when you're trying to let your hair grow and it just feels weird and awkward? It's when the length of your hair isn't too long or too short. It's just at that awkward stage. And you're like, I don't know if I should cut it or just keep letting it grow. Well, I've realized that having a camera for the first time is exactly the same. When you start out, you don't know what exactly it all means. And then you go ahead and snap that first picture and you're like, yeah, this is the one right here. And then a couple of days later pass and you're like, what was I thinking? Like, you're just at that awkward stage. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not an expert. However, it's safe to say that I've improved. I've pushed through that awkward stage and I've grown. I've grown a lot. I do have another analogy, if that's the correct word. So let me just show you. Unless you have an automatic robot for vacuum purposes named Alfred, most vacuums usually have different modes. This vacuum has bare floor up to high carpet, and some in between. Cameras have auto and manual modes, and all of the in between as well. In the beginning, you might start with auto, which is okay, but later down the road, you might like to try different types of shots, add some creativity, and have full control of what's coming out. It's a beautiful thing to see, really, to experience the do it for me, to let me figure it out. On a phone, everything is automated and perfect. Exposure, aperture, white balance, etc. Now the difference is that on a camera, you need to work for it. Everything on a camera makes it feel so much more earned and real because every decision is up to you and your judgment. You see, the thing is, shooting on manual isn't how do I say it? It's not a setting, it's an intention. And I remember at first when I started, I was like, this is too much. I was overwhelmed. It can be frustrating and it can be a lot because there's so many features and there's so many, it's like, you know what I mean? When I started shooting, I was like, I'm going to shoot in auto. Like, if the camera can do it for me, why would I want to put extra effort when the camera will do it for me? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But later on, I started to see some unique styles and intent behind the shots, which I didn't know was a thing. I thought it was just snap a picture and you're fine. Like, it's up to there. But no, it's so much more detail. And so I started to dive deeper into how to get those shots and how to get that look that I wanted. And you can't get those specific looking shots if you're shooting on auto. And so this made me realize that what I needed was not on auto. What I needed was to turn the knob on manual. Okay, so aperture, ISO, and what was the other one? Shutter speed. Okay, all of those make up the three sides of the triangle exposure. Okay, why am I speaking like that? I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Okay, anyways, they all work together to produce a proper exposed photo or video. If one variable changes or if one of these settings change, you need to change one of the other ones in order to maintain the correct exposure. It's gonna seem, it might be a little bit too dark, it might be a little too bright. So you're gonna have to play with that. Shutter speed is the length in time light is allowed to hit the sensor. It is measured in seconds I'm going to put here a diagram so you guys can see. So for example, moving from a shutter speed of 1/60 to 1/30, it will add a stop of light because the shutter will remain open twice as long. Usually the shutter speed is double the amount of your FPS, frames per second. Now aperture refers to the circular hole that is in your lens that lets in light. Now the bigger the hole, the bigger the aperture opens, the more light comes into the sensor. Like, here's an example. So right now I'm gonna grab my beta fish food right here that I had next to me, and right now my lens is open on a 2.8 f-stop or aperture. So let's see what it does. As you guys can see, the fish food is totally in focus, but everything around it is blurry. Right. Now this is on a 2.8 aperture. Now what happens if I close it? Now my aperture is on f11. I closed it and I had to bump up my ISO. And as you guys can see, my beta fish food that I have on hand, it is in focus, but everything around, you can see it a little bit better. So yeah, that's what aperture does. It's pretty cool. Now the final variable in the exposure triangle is ISO. You can think of ISO as the sensitivity of the digital sensor, and it's also as a digital sunlight, which is pretty cool. So whenever you start observing, I've noticed that you aren't just happening to be in the room, you're actually observing. It's pretty interesting. It gets to a point where you're like, huh, this actually looks pretty cool. What if I do it like this? You're looking for ways of how the light hits the walls, any reflections, background. It's pretty cool because instead of just, hey, I'll just place the camera right here and see how it goes, every shot is with intent and has a purpose behind it. It's really, really cool. You start observing differently. You have like this whole different perspective on how to shoot video or take pictures. It's really, really interesting. You start transitioning from a spectator to an observer, like, huh, this actually looks pretty cool. So let me see how it looks on my camera. And then look, it looks really cool. One thing I've noticed that's unique in videos are like textures, shadows, and that's something I want to get better at. But it's really cool to see, which a lot of creators or filmmakers don't really pay a lot of attention to that, but it's a unique thing to capture. And honestly, at the end, one of the most cool things that I've noticed is that you start framing the shot already in your head before it even happens. Like whenever you start writing the script, you're already thinking about like, huh, I want this shot to look like this. You know how some filmmakers say, think as an editor? It's because filming can take a while, especially when you don't have any plan whatsoever on what you're gonna do, what you're gonna shoot. So it will be best practice to pre-edit your content by observing and creating a shot list. And so that's that. At the end of the day, we're all at different stages with our development, and we're all learning, but if you can start from zero, you will eventually become 1% better each time. So pick up your camera, start documenting. I appreciate and value my GoPro, but it was time to put it away. Now, if you could, like, do me a favor, give this video a thumbs up. Okay? Thanks.